Your tyres are slowing you down. Today we talk about the truth about tyre width, PSI and tubeless.
Most cyclists, even racers, are riding the wrong tyres this day. They're riding them at the wrong pressures and they're riding the wrong setups for their goals.
Anthony, first question, it's a good one. Anthony, talk to me about tyre setup. Tell me exactly what width, PSI and tubeless or clincher, and that's from Gus.
Feels like we've done tyres to death, but it is something that comes up time and time again because it's so confusing and it's so nuanced and there's so many different aspects to something as simple as tyres. The old school logic was really simple. Narrower tyres equals faster. I used to race on 23 mil for the longest time, but time trials could have been 21, even 19 mil. But testing and real world data tells a different story. They were never the fastest. We just got it wrong for a long time. Wider tyres, so you think 25s, 28s, or even 30 mil like we seen in Paris-Roubaix last weekend, actually roll faster on real world roads, especially at low pressures. And I know we're going to move on to pressures. It's because they deform less on the road, so they absorb less road buzz. Less vibration, that means less energy, means more speed. But there's a caveat. If you go too wide on tyres, you start to create aerodynamic drag and unnecessary weight. So the sweet spot for road racers seems to be around 28 mil tyres. Gravel, I had Dylan Johnson on 2 weeks ago on the podcast, and Dylan Johnson thinks you should be going north of 47 mil. I rode 47 mils last year on my Factor gravel bike. This year on the Reap, I'm going to go with mountain bike tires. I'm going to go for 2.2s or 2.1s. That's what Dylan Johnson is saying is the fastest tires. Mountain bike tires specifically because they have different casing on them, which is lighter than gravel tires. But as much of a guru as Dylan Johnson is, if you go onto bicyclerolling-resistance.com, it paints a more nuanced picture where not all casings are the same and different tires have different casings. So it's not strictly that a 2.1 or 2.2 mountain bike tire is going to be faster than a 47 mil. It depends brand specific, but in general, wider is better.
Wider is better. Yeah, it does feel, you explained it really well, because it does feel a little bit counterintuitive. It just feels that the tinier the size, the faster it feels. Two really probably dumb questions. Is every road bike going to be set up to take 25, 28 or a 30 mil? Because I know that that's a consideration in gravel. Like not every gravel bike will get a 2.2 mountain bike onto it.
No, especially you got to look up your advertised clearances. Your advertised clearance is normally a little bit less than your tire can actually take. I think it needs to have, someone will correct us in the comments, but I think it needs to have 2 mil on either side. So if a bike is saying it clears 25 mil tires, it's probably clearing at least 28 mil tires. But you run the risk of damaging your frame then if there's a small bit of flex in it. But gravel bikes, and here's kind of my hot thesis, because the Reap that we're riding has amazing clearance on it. All the data showing that wider tires are better, but the bikes haven't evolved. Some of the bikes that are still coming out, brand new bikes, can only have clearance for 43, 45 mil.
Which is small. I mean, as
Very
you said,
small.
we were on 47s all of last year.
Like, it's small compared to what the data is saying on what's fastest.
Yeah.
My working theory on this is the bike companies are sitting on a bunch of backstock, so they don't want people to start switching to the wider tires until they've cleared that backstock.
Skeptical
I think
conspiracy theory. Okay, so next up is pressure, because before I, really understood what I was doing, I would get a skinny tire, pump it up to 100 psi, and hope I could corner and keep it up straight.
Pressure is where almost every rider still gets this wrong, because they just kind of head out the door and they don't realize how much of a difference pressure makes to traction, to grip in the corner, and to the comfort of ride. High pressure feels fast, but it's actually costing you a lot of speed, especially on rough or uneven roads. Running pressures that are too hard, they make the bike just bounce, boom, boom, boom. They make it skip over imperfections and they rob you of that speed. And critically, in corners, they rob you of control. What's the fix? Well, it's drop your tire pressure is the fix, and it's super complicated. And because of that, we spent a bit of time and we spent some resources to build a tire pressure calculator that's totally free. So you can go along, you put in your tire brand, you put in speed, terrain you're riding, you put in the width of your tire, and it will spit out based on your total system weight, that's you and the bike, exactly what PSI you need to do. We're going to pop a link that down below. It's just roadmancycling.com/toolkit. You sign up there and there's loads of cool stuff in there with that. But like typically, to give people context, I'm roughly 80 kilograms riding 28 mil GP 5000 tires. I'm running 62 to 63 PSI on those. So much
a lot lower
than you think. And it changes your ride more than any upgrade of wheels, frames, helmets, anything. One note of caution on this: if you are on hookless rims, there is a legal pressure limit on your hookless rims. It's normally written on the rim. It can be around 70 on some of the road wheels, so just watch out for that.
Yeah, or on the side of caution maybe with those numbers. Okay, and then the last part of Gus's question is basically around tubeless versus tubes.
Well, this is where things get a little bit spicy, because Tubeless came in with the promise of lower rolling resistance and fewer flats, and the World Tour peloton has largely switched to entirely tubeless. There's no one not riding tubeless anymore. Tubeless setups, they are a little bit heavier, but where most amateurs, time crunch people like me and you fall down is installation.
Yes.
Do you remember when you tried to install your...
Yeah, we actually have a question coming up in a little while about installation and sealants.
Messy to install.
It is messy.
Very messy to install. Even if you're good at installing them, they're messy to install. So for off-road, I still think it's worth, if you're going mountain biking, if you're going gravel, I think it's worth the effort to put tubeless on, even though you're going to get a little bit messy. For road racing, road cycling in general, like a Tap the Tour over in Vegas, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. Like if you want the peace of mind and you've mastered the install, I think tubeless is best. But if you want low weight and simplicity, go with a clincher and a latex tube, and it's going to be almost as fast without all that hassle.
Yeah, it's this debate that rages on and on at the moment. I mean, I was doing a little bit of research for this topic and the one that's coming up later. And, you know, you do have people who almost kind of keep it as it's almost part of their identity that they are only ever riding tubed. And then other people who it's almost a personality trait absolutely have been bought completely into tubeless. So it's kind of, I don't know, I have tubed on my bike, tubeless on my gravel bike, and I've never had a bad experience really with either. I think it's just horses for courses.
Yeah, for me, it boils down to, do I want the inconvenience of installing tubeless in the warm living room or the shed, which is nice and sheltered, or do I want the inconvenience of fixing a puncture in 4 degrees on the side of the road? I take the former rather than the latter, and that's why I go with tubeless.
Absolutely agreed. Okay, next question. Anthony, are there common mistakes that lead to sealant failure? I followed all the usual setup steps, but when I flatted, it just wouldn't seal. I'm starting to lose trust in tubeless. Is it something I did wrong, or are there known limitations?
Biggest limitation is I went, one of the lads in the club, Reen, we went gravel cycling last summer, and I think Reen had punctured about 4 times in the first 5k. He put tubeless sealant into his tires, but about 4 years ago, and the sealant had just completely dried up to the point that there was absolutely no sealant in the tire. So sealant isn't it done, set it once and done. It's a liquid that when you puncture, it rushes to fill the gap from the puncture. If the liquid is turned solid, it can't fill that gap. So
people become, and me included, totally complacent with sealant. You kind of think, right, one and done. You kind of forget about it. Do you think you need to be replacing your sealant every couple of months, checking on it?
Oh yeah, definitely topping it up. Yeah,
topping it up,
yeah.
throwing another little
climate
bit in
depends how quick it's drying up, where you're storing your bike beside a radiator in a warm shed.
That's like a long finger job for me. I know if I had to like put more sealant in my I'd be like, oh manana, because it's stressful.
But you do it before a big event coming up all the time. Like now, if we think about, I was looking on forums and stuff for common issues to make sure we hadn't missed any. But we've experienced all of these nearly. You know, like in the morning, you're like, oh, my tire's flat, can't believe it. what's the first thing we'll check? Well, is your valve actually just leaking? Because the valve is different in a tubeless setup and it needs to be airtight. And a lot of times it's just worked its way a little bit loose. So that also could be his problem. Poor rim tape installation could be another one, where if the rim tape isn't fully seated, if it has creases, if it has tears, if it's too narrow, the air in the sealant can escape through a rim cavity. That could be a problem for as well. Incorrect sealant application, like just not putting enough of it in, or he's putting it in and it's all going to one spot and it's clumping there like he's not spinning the wheel when he's doing it. Not removing the old sealant could potentially cause some problems. Tire rim compatibility is another issue. I think there's obviously inherent limitations in any sealant. It's a liquid to plug a physical hole, and the viscosity of the liquid is going to determine how big a hole it can plug. Somebody done a good, I think it was Cycling Weekly, had a good YouTube video where they got brand new tyres and they punctured them with different width stuff on every sealant to see what ones sealed quite well. And I'm struggling to think which was the best sealant. I know Orange Seal struggles to seal at higher PSIs. So on road bikes, if you're putting 60, 70, 80 PSI, that was struggling quite poorly. Muck Off performed quite well. Stans was middle of the road. Silka performed quite well. Go check it out.
Everyone will have, everyone has their own opinion on the best sealant. I did see some really interesting threads on Reddit where somebody, a lot of people actually are making their own sealant. So if you want to go and do that, so it says try DIYing it if cost is an issue. You add liquid latex and RV antifreeze and add a bit of ground black pepper. And that apparently creates the perfect sealant. So
I feel like your man got this out like the anarchist's cookbook. And he's also like click to the next page to get some napalm.
Yeah, what else has this guy got in his garage? But there you go. There's a lot of information online if you do want to start creating your own sealant.
I think a lot of them have traces of carbon fibre in them to fill the gaps.
Yeah, and that was actually another thread. Again, you'll find anything online, but you can... Some people do recommend that you're adding more of these kind of fibres to it, that it's going to work even better. But I don't know about messing around with the consistency of these. It's not something that I would personally do. Okay, good stuff. Next question. Hey, Anthony, what did you make of someone throwing a bottle at Mathieu van der Poel during Roubaix? Has fan behaviour gone too far?
It was horrible. It was really bad. I think it's one thing... not condoning it, but it's one thing to spit at someone. It's disgusting. It's another thing to throw beer at them. I can't bring myself to say I'd ever do either of those. I absolutely wouldn't. But people have been drinking all day. They do stupid stuff. People do stupid stuff in nightclubs and pubs every day of the week. It's just something stupid. When it moves from something stupid to dangerous and actually inflicting harm on someone, it escalates into a new category. And it's just absolutely horrible. It's no place in bike riding, and I hope they do track the person down that done it. It's like throwing coins in football.
Yeah, there is an update on that. So the man who has not been publicly identified went and handed himself into the police, and he basically expressed remorse, describing it as a moment of madness. But my question to you, when we were watching it live, and we were like, oh my God, that yellow bidon was just launched at him.
Well, no, actually, initially I thought it bounced out of his bottle cage, but it was yellow. I was like, it looks like a Visma bottle.
Yeah, maybe it was somebody from Visma trying to...
He's definitely a Visma fan, because he's not like Dutch team. He's a Dutch rider riding against them, their arch rival.
But that was my point too. It's like, why does Mathieu van der Poel, we saw last year in the cyclocross where, exactly like you were saying, he's getting spat at, he's getting awful abuse, and then there was people peeing into cups and throwing that at him as well. Like, this again is another step further. But what is it about Mathieu van der Poel that the Belgians are, I think we kind of assume that it's Belgian fans are doing this, which is maybe an unsafe assumption, but what is it about Mathieu van der Poel that he gets so much of this?
What is it about Rory McIlroy, Diego Maradona, Cristiano Ronaldo.
He's the best, so therefore he's open to more. So. In interviews after, Mathieu van der Poel described it as an attempted manslaughter, and he emphasised the seriousness of the situation and said it was a full bottle, maybe half a kilogram, and I'm riding at 50 kilometres per hour. It was really like a stone hitting my face. And he went on to say, if it lands on my nose is broken, this really needs to be prosecuted. But yeah, look, let's watch this space.
Pretty sure it won't be prosecuted as attempted manslaughter. Van der Poel definitely doesn't have the legal degree there, but we'll leave it at that one.
Okay, next question.
Hey everybody, let's take a quick break to talk about the bike I'll be riding this season, Reap. I've been lucky enough to ride all the top brands in the world over the past few years, but these Reap bikes, they're not the same, and I'll tell you why. Reap is the first company I've seen that isn't chasing sales targets and the mass market. They're chasing something very rare, perfection. Every bike they make, it's crafted in the UK factory, and it's not about slapping a Made in Britain label on a bike from a Chinese factory. It's about control. From the first sketch to the final build, they're hands-on, ensuring that every detail is dialed in. That's very rare in an outsourced world of mass production. What sets them apart is innovation. While others pump out the same old designs, Reap's pushing boundaries. They're not following trends, they're setting trends. Think precision and performance, like an F1 car for the road. Absolutely no compromises. And it shows, and you can feel it when you ride the bikes. These bikes are built for riders who demand the best, whether they're chasing podiums or just want a machine that feels like an extension of your body, a piece of art. It's not hype, it's substance. Ride a Reap for yourself and you're riding something crafted with intent. So if you're serious about cycling, check them out. It's reapbikes.com. I absolutely love my one and I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Back to the show.
Anthony, can we have an honest conversation about whether cycling clubs are keeping people away from the sport rather than bringing them in? I know riders who feel intimidated, excluded, or just completely uninterested in the old school club mentality. Is it time for something new?
I think there's a temptation to blame a cycling club because they're excluding, or there's systems in place that will go through and perceived elitism, intimidation. We'll go through, I think a couple of barriers, but I think there's one thing with it not being 100% efficient and onboarding every new rider that they're caught versus is it a negative thing? Like, it's not a negative thing. It gets everybody that's into cycling currently. Could it be doing a better job? Yes. And that's where the conversation is. It's not like, is it time for something new? We need to abandon the cycling club structure. It's arguably the very best thing we have about cycling at the moment. And our club is flying at the moment as well. Like, we've Saturday, Sunday and Thursday spins, and like numbers are through the roof. It's going from strength to strength, and there's just great crack and great camera. It's different between being stuck behind a microphone or a screen and actually being in person, banging shoulders with someone. Oh,
look, like I talk about it every single week, that it's just this beautiful feeling when you're in a group with loads of cyclists and this synergy of that group spin and having fun and everyone's just loving the sport. And yeah, it's amazing. What do you think though? Do you think that what do you think clubs can do or people can do to kind of grow this or make it more welcoming or better? For newcomers, it can feel daunting for sure, especially if the group is a fast-paced group or if it's a competitive group, and if the no-drop ride doesn't quite live up to its promise of a no-drop ride. If you wanted to be super critical of cycling clubs, but I think you got to level this more at cycling as a sport, it maybe lacks a little bit of inclusion. The idea that anybody can join. Well, there's a big difference between saying that anybody can join and it actually being inclusive. Like, without intentional outreach, I don't know if we're going to get there in terms of inclusive. Like, if you show up to a group ride and there's no one of your gender, no one of your skin color, no one of your socioeconomic background in the group, you can say it's inclusive, but it's very, very intimidating to break through those invisible barriers. Right. I totally agree. I will kind of push back though as well, because the onus really is on the person who is joining the club to perhaps find a club that is suitable to them if you're lucky enough to have a lot of clubs in your area. So like, I can think of 6 clubs in Dublin and they all cater, it seems to me, to different things. So I think Roadman, you know, there's a lot of racers in it. Now, that's not to put anyone off coming on a Saturday, because
a big mix as well, though.
There is a mix, but then there are other clubs that are, you know, very much leisure, and they all have great crack going to sportifs and going away. And then there's other clubs, and we see them in the Phoenix Park most weeks, and they're genuinely just social clubs.
Can I dive in on that before you expand on that further? You've broke all those down according to speed, but their fitness is only one of the barriers.
No, it's not even speed. It's about what you want to get out from the day. So like people who are, let's say, going out on that piano ride in the Phoenix Park, they are all going out on the most gorgeous bikes. Their kit looks absolutely stunning. They all look like world tour riders. But what they are getting out of it is a social chat, and then they're going to go for a few beers after. Whereas that's very different to...
But it's largely speed we're talking about here. It's inclusive because it's social because of the speed.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is that's just one of the hurdles, is the fitness level. The hurdles that are a little bit more structural or endemic are, is there a working class club in Dublin that you can name? Yeah. Is there a club for Chinese in Dublin? There is a club for Brazilians, because Wes,
our videographer.
But, you know, is there a club for those
Zukas.
different ethnicities? Is there clubs for, and we're making strides on this, female only clubs? I think speed is only one of the metrics we need to judge this inclusion by.
Yeah, but I don't think that we need to kind of silo different, like, women's only clubs, national clubs by nationalities. I think that the speed or the kind of what you want out of a particular club will help you decide whether that club suits you or not. As I said, if it's social, is it racing? Is it leisure?
Do you get what I'm saying? Where, like, if you're the sole female Chinese rider who rocks up to an entirely white middle-aged club, speed isn't your primary consideration here. It's like, no one in the club looks like me. I'm not saying you can't join the club. Most clubs are going to be super welcoming. What I'm saying is it's very intimidating to join that club. Yeah, it's more
intimidating. The other thing that I will say about clubs, and I think when you're in a club, anyone who is in one and who are trying to, you know, welcome more people and grow their club a little better, is do exactly what Anthony says. Kind of have a little think about, are we inclusive? Are we adaptable? Think about how you communicate with each other. What is the WhatsApp group like? I mean, we have a WhatsApp group with about 100 people in it. Is that a positive experience for somebody coming in? If a new person puts in a question, are people willing to take time out to kind of say, oh, well, this, you know, I'll help you with this, or here's some advice with this, or this is my experience. So all of those little things that aren't just on the bike can make somebody's experience and wanting to come back and back and back and kind of, you know, help you grow your club. The other thing I will say about growing clubs, and I know that's not totally the question here, but try and, I think, not stay off Facebook, stay off all the, you know, there's certain ways to kind of promote your club. And I think some of them are a little bit older and maybe not working as well. So try and be a little bit more inventive about how you bring people in.
The definition of clubs is slightly broadened. Like, if you don't need a formal club structure affiliated through Cycling Ireland, what do Cycling Ireland give a leisure club? Like, genuine question, I have no idea. If someone lets me know down in the comments why you would affiliate with Cycling Ireland as a leisure club, I don't know. Like,
I don't think they are. I don't think leisure clubs are. I mean, I know, again, Dash in the Phoenix Park, they are not affiliated with Cycling Ireland as well at all.
Like, a club isn't really much more than a WhatsApp group. Like, all you need is a WhatsApp group with a bunch of friends that are like-minded, and you've got your own club. Yeah,
and I think that was another point I was going to make. I do think when I roll up beside somebody and I'm, you know, have a chat with them about who they ride with, where they're from, and I ask them, are you in a group? They're usually like, oh, do you know what, I have like 6 mates and we go out every Saturday or we go out every Sunday, and we don't do the club thing. So I think people are maybe moving a little bit away from it. I don't know. That's my tuppence anyway. Okay,
there we go.
On to the next question. Anthony, I've been using Garmin for years, but I've been eyeing up the new Hammerhead. The screen looks super clean and easy to use, and I saw that you got one on YouTube. So I wanted to ask, is it actually worth making the switch? From a training point of view, is the better screen and interface something that actually helps, or is this more aimed at long gravel days and navigation heavy rides? That's a good question.
It's brilliant. So I made the switch after being since 2012 on Garmin, made the switch across the Hammerheads, Karoo 3, love it. Big screen is amazing. Once you start using it for a while, like my time trial bike will only take because of the mount on it, I can only use the small little Wahoo Bolt. Going from the Wahoo Bolt to the Hammerhead is like stepping through a time portal. Like they're totally different.
Yeah, it's
Big
like going
colour
from
screen.
the Nokia 3210 to your iPhone.
Yeah, like the Hammerhead user interface is really sweet as well. Like everything just integrates so nicely into it. It feels like the future. But there's really nice aspects on it I use all the time. Like the live track is super easy to send. I send you that all the time when I'm at coffee shops, or I ask you to send it. The other one I love as well is I can get a link. Someone can send me a link to something, or I can look something up when I'm on the bike. If I'm trying to navigate to, I don't know, a restaurant across town or a coffee shop across town, you're meeting someone there, you can click on the Google Maps link and open it in your Hammerhead, and it'll send it straight to your Karoo and navigate there. So there's all sorts of cool little features built into it. And then I just add in, the main reason I went to it was the bigger screen for the better navigation, so I can navigate off-road, whereas Garmin and Wahoo was just this one unambiguous blur of lines, and I couldn't navigate off-road at all with them, and this just makes navigation so much easier. So for me, yeah, it's a winner.
Before you know you've missed your turn, it's telling you to, you know, backtrack on yourself, but there doesn't seem to be any of those issues with the Hammerhead. The bit that I love about the Hammerhead...
You remind me of something there before you say that. Do you remember Santa Val last year? Like how many times did I go wrong?
Oh yeah, you had to...
Like I just kept riding straight past turns.
I had to lead. Remember, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm nervous here now because I'm in control." But I've used all of them now. I even had the Hammerhead that was the prior version to the Karoo 3, and I've always loved it. The feature that I love, and I think some people would hate this and some people will love it, is distance to the top of a climb. Sometimes I'm looking at okay, if it says something like 4 kilometers to the top of the climb, I basically flick that little part off because I'm like, I don't need to know that I'm way too far away from the top here. But I will flip it back up, and I'll be like, okay, only like 800 meters to go, I can do this. So that's the feature that I absolutely love. It really helps me with pacing as well. So I love the Hammerhead. Okay, next question. Can we talk about cycling kit sizing? I'm 6 foot and 13.5 stone, which is not exactly overweight. And I just had to size up to a 2XL jersey that still felt like it was spray painted on. In normal clothes, I'm a large. Spray painted on, is that not what we're going for? Then I ordered a pair of bibs shorts in XL, labelled relaxed fit. But the straps felt like dental floss pulling the pad into the wrong postcode. Honestly, it feels like buying kit is a self-esteem test half the time. Is the industry just designing for world tour climbers and hoping the rest of us squeeze in? Are there any brands that actually make kit for normal humans? That can go so wrong. Okay, so the jersey being a little bit small, a bit snug, it can feel a little bit restrictive. If you get your bibs shorts, I've noticed this as a female anyway, that and I'm quite tall, so like the bib straps can kind of move the actual shorts, or kind of almost like wedgie the shorts up super high, so the chamois, the pad, is not sitting exactly where it's supposed to be sitting. So I feel this listener's pain pretty sharply. So it is kind of a problem, isn't it?
Like we done the club kit order. You're not a pain of this.
We just put in a big order for club kit, and there was massive confusion. I am going straight to heaven after that, because I've earned my spot behind the pearly gates, because there's so many questions about, will this fit? What's the inside leg seam? What's the, waist length on it? Because people are nervous. It's custom kit. So once you order that kit, you can't send it back if it doesn't fit you. So people are nervous. I think people have been hurt a lot by the cycling industry and sizing, and they're a little bit kind of, nervous.
Well, I think we have the race fit obsession, and it kind of comes from it's probably Italian, French cycling culture. It's like the homes of cycling, you would say, and it feels like they're benchmarked off that archetypal cycling 5'8", 52 kilogram build, and they've used that as like a small, and then everything else is. And we've also inherited this race cut idea where kits got more and more aerodynamic. So even 10 years ago, like you get a Santini to be flapping everywhere, even if it's a race cut. Everything's got so aerodynamic, which means painted on. Painted on works if you're at 10 to 15% body fat. When you get painted on after that and you have a couple of layers of visible fat on your body, painted on starts looking like the paint is poured into the crevices and it's not a good look. So I think because of that race cut, everything is just so much tighter. And even when you step away from race cut into the, what do they call it, like relaxed fit, I think it's still based on the sizing of quite a lean frame. And then you add in, and I've experienced this with a Castelli, where I'll own a Castelli, which is a small and extra large in the same brand.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah,
it's minefield.
It's really confusing. What I would say is, this is kind of like me going in to buy a pair of jeans, right? When you're going jean shopping as a woman, I'm not sure, I can't speak for you guys, you have to be in a certain frame of mind. You have to have had your coffees and definitely no kind of low sugar. And what you also need to do is not look at the tag. So let's say, listener, you have to buy an 3XL bib short and it says 3XL on the inside label. Who gives a shit? Nobody is going to see that. We know that in the cycling industry, the labels, the sizes are all so different. So if the label says a size 14, or, you know, and I'm talking about women's jeans, or a size 18, even though you kind of think that you're a size 10 or a 12, just get the jeans that fit. No one is going to know.
I identify as a medium.
No one is going to know. And you're going to be so much more comfortable. You're going to have blood flow to all of the areas you need.
My self-esteem will be in the gutter after that.
I know, but this is what you have to do. You cannot let your day be ruined by some arbitrary XL or 3XL that Castelli or whatever want to print on their jerseys or their leggings or their bib shorts. So just get the size that fits you and leave that ego at the door, and don't worry about what the label says.
We have 3 long form podcasts every week. Some of them are 90 minutes or 2 hours long, and I realise you're busy. Sometimes it's hard to cut through the noise and figure out the signal, figure out what the important parts are of these conversations. So I've taken your feedback, and once a week I'm delivering to your inbox a newsletter called The Saturday Spin. It's a 4-minute read or less, and it's going to break down the very best thing I've learned on the podcast this week. So it's insights from the biggest names in the world tour, physiologists, sports psychologists and coaches. It's completely free to sign up to the newsletter. All you have to do is go to roadmancycling.com, stick in your email address, and once a week on a Saturday morning, I will deliver the Saturday Spin newsletter direct to your inbox. The link is down below. Go sign up.
Okay, next question. What do you think of Adidas Velosamba? Are they cool or not? I wore them to my group ride last week, and you would have thought I had committed some kind of war crime by the reaction I got.
Don't wear them on your group ride.
They're so cool.
We talked off air about this. I went bike packing, was it last summer? The summer before. With one of my friends. 4 of us went, annual chamois time tour. One of the lads, Al, had a set of Velosambas. Game changer. Like, we were stuck. I lost my flip-flops after like 6k. So I had my gravel shoes, and I looked back to see where my flip-flops still on, and then I was like, oh no, well, that simplifies life.
That's such an outlier of a story. Like, not
But
everyone
it's one less thing to carry is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, flip-flops will literally weigh probably 250
it's
grams.
more the space.
It's, I cannot get behind these. I think they have do have a place.
Bike packing's the only, no, commuting is another application.
Commuting is maybe the only application that I can kind of get on board with them. I just think, especially with, you stick them on, you've got cycling and shorts on. Like, they just look so uncool.
Look, I was wearing a dress short and a pair of shorts, like, and then half the day you're trying to dry your clothes on a makeshift clothesline on the front of your handlebars with bike bags and a mug dangling from your bag. Like, you're not really a style icon. So if you have to wear a pair of Velosambas with your aero socks, you know, the Veluminate police will have to excuse you.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know, I guess I have to take my own advice and not kind of be judgmental of people. But if someone showed up to our group ride with Velosambas,
what if they dropped you?
That's very true.
See, what's the social currency? Is the social currency being good at cycling or looking like you're good at cycling?
Well, you don't look like you're good at cycling if you're wearing
But precisely my point.
Yeah.
Like, so if the person wearing them dances away from you up the climb and he trounces the strongest lad in your group ride, now what? Now what's up?
Now what's up? Yeah, I don't know. I guess that definitely does give you kudos, but I think they're hideous.
There's a lot of flex in them.
A lot of flex, yeah. They're not for performance, are they? It's like, it's more for, as you said, convenience.
On the dance floor performance.
On the dance floor.
I don't know. I think if you're bike packing and space is an issue, you got to understand, people are cutting their toothbrushes in half. Like, you're getting rid of a full pair of flip-flops. I was carrying, I actually was carrying flip-flops, but last time I went, I was carrying Birks, which take up like the majority of your bag. So
heavy.
Like I get that if you're riding across Morocco or Albania and it's 40 degrees all day and you're sweating into your things all day, it doesn't sound super hygienic. But if you've ever been bike packing, there's nothing about the experience that's hygienic. You wear the same kit for 2 weeks. You wear the same clothes in the evening for 2 weeks. It all gets piled back into the same little mold, fungi infested bag in the evening, and you wash your clothes in a sink.
But like when you were bike packing, did you not crave to get your toes out and wiggle them after being in your cleats for 200 kilometers?
Barefoot's an option as well.
Oh, that's very true. You just be like that crazy hippie.
Yeah.
But it's a no for me. I think it's a yes from Anthony.
It's a yes for me, yeah. Roadman, thank you for tuning in to another episode. Like I said, the tire pressure calculator is well worth checking out. The link is below. It's roadmancycling.com/toolkit. There's a video up here, which you're going to love. And take a moment to subscribe to the channel. See you next day.